Well, let's discuss this appointment further now with Ali Rizk, who is a security and political affairs analyst and is joining us from the Lebanese capital, Beirut. Good to have you with us again on Al Jazeera, Ali. As Zaina said there, Hashim Safieddine was widely expected to take over as leader of Hezbollah, but he was killed by Israel. I wanted to ask you first about the timing of this announcement. Knowing the risks associated with this, why would Hezbollah announce a new leader that could also be targeted by the Israelis? What's motivating this announcement now?
That's a very good question. In fact, in one of Sheikh Naim Qassem's speeches, he did say we are going to elect a leader sooner rather than later. I think that Hezbollah was called upon in order to show not just that its military is intact, but also that its senior leadership is intact and that there is no leadership vacuum. Of course, this could have the effect of boosting the morale somewhat of Hezbollah's supporters. It could also be a message also to Hezbollah's enemies, saying that there is no leadership vacuum and that everything is going smoothly and Hezbollah is rebuilding. So I think there were various messages which were sent. I think an important point to mention is that Hezbollah had to choose a well-known familiar face. If you go back to 1992, when the former Secretary General Sayyid Abbas al-Musawi was assassinated, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah back then, who was chosen as his successor, he was a familiar face. But now with Sayyid Hassan gone, with Sayyid Hashim gone, I think the only familiar face left, relatively speaking, was Sheikh Naim Qassem. So I think that what we have now is the choosing of a leader from the old guard in order maybe to give room for the new generation to emerge and some new faces. I don't think it would have been feasible for Hezbollah to elect an unknown figure at this time. That wouldn't be standard practice if you go back to Hezbollah's history.
Yeah, so he's not an unknown figure, you say, but how much influence and command and control does he have within the Hezbollah movement, especially on the military level?
Sheikh Naim Qassem, his history, he used to be a chemistry teacher, a theologian. He's very well versed, or he has considerable knowledge, religiously speaking. Militarily, he's not considered to be a well-known figure, someone who is very much up-to-date or an expert in military affairs, as your your correspondent mentioned. But again, I think this is more about trying to show that there is no leadership vacuum within the party. I think that is the main message. And Sheikh Naim Qassem did underscore this point, as I said in previous speeches. So there has to be that leadership which is in place. You have to also remember that Sheikh Naim Qassem was the main figure, or the point man, if you would like, when it comes to the Lebanese domestic situation.
Right.
He was in charge of Hezbollah's election strategy, and Hezbollah is going to be facing some very fierce battles domestically speaking, I think, politically speaking, when this war comes to an end. So I think that might have been also one of the considerations which was a priority in this selection process.
And this is coming as on the battlefield, we've seen Israel stepping up its operations in Lebanon and no longer just going after Hezbollah military targets. What are the group's current capabilities with this new man at its helm? Are they going to be able to repel these attacks?
Well, I think, what we have now is who cries wolf or who cries out first. The Israelis are escalating, as we just heard from your correspondent, in Tyre, first of all, then in Al-Baq, some unprecedented bombings which are targeting, first and foremost, the Shia population. And I think we do have clearly a deliberate strategy to demoralize Hezbollah. Now, the election of Sheikh Naim Qassem, I'm not sure how big of a difference that's going to make militarily. Hezbollah's military performance has proven to be quite good considering the circumstances in the aftermath of the assassination of Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. So I'm not sure the selection of Sheikh Naim is going to make a difference in that regard. I think that the Hezbollah military strategy, which Sheikh Naim himself alluded to in a previous speech, was to inflict pain on the Israeli side. So both sides, as I said, they're continuing to escalate. Hezbollah does not want to back down. And in fact, I think Hezbollah views it even more urgent now not to back down in order to show the friends in Lebanon and also the enemies in Lebanon that they're not weakened. And I think they've proven to some extent that they haven't been weakened.
Right.
On the other hand, I think that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, views that he can continue to score some successes. Maybe he has around 10 days left until the American elections. He wants to use those to the maximum in order to inflict more pain on Hezbollah.
Thank you so much for your insights. Ali Rizk, a security and political affairs analyst, joining us there from Beirut. Thank you very much for your time.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.